What's up, guys? Welcome. This is a live stream hosted by Full Tilt Farming. If you're asking what Full Tilt Farming is, we are a new PlayStation 4 community. Um, really been looking for some good content online in regards to consoles and in regards to PlayStation. This is the place to get it. We all are console farmers, and we've all seen a lot of the PC videos, but we've really never ever been able to see someone be able to provide some content from the perspective of consoles. So that is what we are here to do today. I am joined by one of my buddies, Bandit. He is here with me at the gas station. We were just filling the trucks up, and we're just going to do a little tour through this map. We're going to talk about some new things that we've seen. We've been in this game now for a week, so we're really hoping that we kind of can give at least a week's worth of knowledge into some of the things that's going on. We are actually doing this as progressive videos, so we'll actually be doing some of these things as we get to them. We've kind of gotten the farm going. We've kind of got some things going. We've got, at least I've got the sheep going. I know Bandit on his farm's got sheep going. So we just really wanted to kind of just start with looking at the pigs, looking at some of the map, looking at the sheep, looking at the cows, and just kind of taking a tour through, talking about some of the things that we like. Just some of the things that we see that's obviously inherently a lot different than they were in 15. So if you're coming from 15, this is a big jump. It's a good jump. So I'm ready to go whenever you are, Bandit.
Yeah, I'm ready to go. And just to kind of follow up on what you were saying, the animals are really like the biggest difference that I've noticed in this this transition to 2017. I mean, beyond the textures, the updated buildings, all that stuff, that is awesome. I really dig it. But the animals, as far as a like gameplay perspective, the animals are a lot different. Sheep you had, pigs you had, but sheep and cattle you had before. Now you have the option of pigs. The thing that you did not have in 15 that you do have now is a dramatically increased amount of maintenance. Mm-hmm. There are animal upkeep fees. There are cleanliness objectives that you have to maintain in order to keep the productivity up. For pigs, you have to have a ridiculous amount of different crops. It's dramatically different. We've both started with sheep because they basically require water and grass, and that is something that you can easily obtain very early in the game. It will get you wool production, and wool sells for a good premium. It's not going to be fast. If you are used to the production speeds that you saw in 15 and you come into 17 expecting the same thing, you're not going to be pleased, because it's dramatically slower. It requires a lot more sheep to get to the same levels, but what you will notice is there is a great premium for wool. So think of this as kind of like a passive income. It's something easy for you to do as far as upkeep, but not just like a huge moneymaker right up front. So, still got to blink around. This is your sheep. Sheep, as we mentioned, are the easiest. You can come over to this section, and you will notice that there is a loading unloading area right here where you can either offload your sheep or you can load new sheep in. I think Cycle and I both are running roughly 50 sheep. I think you actually have more than that.
Yeah, just a few more. I don't have any more
right
than
now.
Yeah, I think 55, 56 is what I've I think what the reproduce is up at, so yeah, about the same.
Right, so yeah, we're both running roughly the same number of sheep. This is where you can load and unload. If you get to, like, let's say your sweet spot is 70 sheep, and you get your reproduction rate. At that point, it's probably going to be like 20 minutes or more, something along those lines. You're going to get new sheep in, so you might easily bump up to 80, 85 within, like a couple days' time, gameplay days-wise. You can actually unload some of those sheep from your farm and then drive them down, or you can sell them direct for a fee. But you can actually make money just off the reproduction. If you look over here, you can see your palletized area. This is where you get all of your wool pallets. This is where, like everything's just going to stack up. As you can see, Cycle currently has a full pallet with 4 bales on it, and then there's a second pallet with 1 bale on it. This little area right here looks like it will hold up to 6 pallets at a time, which, Cycle, I know you mentioned in 2015 that you would get 1 pallet at a time, and that was it. Is that correct?
Yeah, you get that 1 pallet, and if, let's say you were a little bit late getting the sheep, it would not continually produce. So this gives you a little bit of a buffer zone. So if you're doing crops, if you're taking care of cattle and your wool fill up, let's say you've got 3 full ones, you still got room for 3 more. So it gives you a little bit of buffer to be able to still always be in production, as long as you don't let all 6 crates fill up.
Right. Let's very quickly look at some of the other areas. Most of these areas are going to be the same between your pigs, sheep, and cattle. Mm-hmm. You've got a little water interaction area right here. Go a little further down. You've got your feed interaction. Now, one important thing to notice here is the cleanliness factor. When you look at your animal menu, you'll notice that you have a cleanliness meter. If you look right here, you can see about 4 different patches of grass and these very messy eating sheep that are hanging out right here next to the feed trough, because they will throw grass out here constantly. Like, the more sheep you have, the faster this is going to fill up. Basically what I like to do, I think Cycle likes to do something similar. I generally keep a skid steer over here with a bucket, and I'll go do some missions. I'll go deal with my fields. Every other time or so, I'll just hop on my skid steer, come over here, scoop this up, drop it right back into their feed, because it's still legitimate feed, and keep them going. If you deal with them in between missions or semi-frequently, you just continually dump over into them, you're not going to have a problem. It's not going to take much effort at all to keep up the maintenance. If you let them go the entire 6 days and then you try to come back and fill this bucket up for water and feed, it's going to be a little cumbersome. Mm-hmm. But the best way that we've found so far is to just, keep you a little tractor or a skid steer over here to maintain the cleanliness, and then you're good to go.
Nope, and then they're all cleaned up, so we can run on to the pigs. We can stop them, and then we can head on down and check the cattle out before it gets dark. Maybe we can fit all this in.
Yeah, let's run back up to pigs real quick.
All right.
Should be just up this way.
We don't
have to drive around the fields.
Yeah, I was literally going to say the same thing. We didn't have crop destruction, but we still pretend like we do.
Yeah, it's something I really wish that Giants would include for us console guys. Me being primarily a PC guy at heart, I'm used to all of the different mod options, and it's kind of sad on console that they really don't include a lot of that for us, because they really can. I mean, we've looked at some of the new mods that have come out, which we're going to cover later, but they can certainly provide the scripting. It's well within the capabilities. I mean, they've got some barns and things now that have like functioning doors, dynamic lighting. A lot of that stuff will cover later, but I really wish that they would focus on including a lot more of that into the core game.
Yep,
But
definitely.
it's coming. Like it's gonna happen. I'm gonna keep my fingers crossed. I feel pretty confident about it. So this is the pig area. Same kind of interaction zones. This is obviously your feed trough. You've got your loading unloading zone. This is actually your manure production or your solid manure. Here is your slurry right over here. Let's see what else we got around this thing. I think there's a bedding for the pigs.
Yep. And I think they sell a separate thing in the in your equipment that comes to a just vanilla based game. So you'll shoot all that in here, and I believe the bedding actually serves a purpose. I mean, it's not just to feel good to make get the pigs to lay down and be comfy. I mean, it has a proper use, and if I'm remembering correctly, I believe it has something to do with manure production. So a lot of that stuff, your hay bales, can be stored right here behind us in these wonderful new sheds that we have and shelters for product placements. It's just great. I love having placeables and being able to create some of these zones. We just didn't have that in 15. No placeables, not anything like shelters and different sheds and different buildings that we could use and for actual gameplay. So that's really nice to see them add that in. And then this is of course this is your watering element, your watering tray. So same thing as the sheep. Now I will say pigs take about 5 different things. They take anything from power food that you have to buy on pallets from the shop, and they take stuff like root crop, sugar beet, potatoes. Then there's a certain whisk of ingredients, 5 different ones, and they can be combined off of different crops. So it's not to say that you have to have all of the things, but there are groups of things that they need certain percentages of. So it's definitely going to be a little bit of it's going to be of a challenge. It's going to definitely keep you busy, but I think me and Bandit always, kind of the more we look into this stuff, you can be really a full-time animal farmer without ever having to really touch your hand into the huge aspects of farming. You don't have to take on the big fields in this game if you don't want to. You just need to be able to provide yourself enough that you can have your canola crops. You can have your, like I said, your root crops, potatoes, your sugar beets. Just at least you have to have something that you can be able to pull food from and be able to put in for your pigs if you're wanting to keep those. So it's definitely going to keep you on your toes if you're planning on doing all 3 animals. I will say that. I think pigs are going to be somewhat a semi they're going to be a semi-pro gig, I think.
Right. Well, you touched on a very good point, and that is the fact that they require root crops. So in order to do pigs, you're going to have your regular harvesters, and you're also going to have your root crop harvesters.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to have to be able to do either potatoes or some of the root crops. Like it's not an and/or. It's you have to have those in addition to your wheats, your hays, and some of the others. So it's you're gonna have to have a lot of equipment to do pigs, even though they are the cheapest to purchase. I believe pigs are around $3,000, sheep are about $4,000, and cattle are $5,000 a piece.
And you can kind of see here as Bandit's riding behind me as we're taking a trip down here to the cows. You can actually see his headlights actually shining through my truck and illuminating different aspects of my truck, which is really cool. The dynamic lighting in this, which we'll actually probably, if the sun's down low enough, we'll actually see the dynamic lighting in the cow pens. But really some nice new visual elements alongside just the under the hood design elements that they've pulled into this game so far. The city looks a lot more livelier. It's a lot more updated. It's a lot more new. I kind of roll through here, and as it gets darker, you'll be able to see these street lights will flicker, and they'll have different parts of them that completely dynamic. You'll see your truck shine through them. I know me and Bandit were talking earlier, and just going back to thinking about Bjornholm. Bjornholm was really just pitch black at night. No street lights, nothing dynamic. Everything just kind of just really shined into an oblivion that just really wasn't there. So being able to see these different elements that kind of add to the actual realism of the sim is a very, very, very welcome sight.
One random note to mention, I don't know if any of you have noticed, but we're in multiplayer mode and there's traffic moving around. That is something you did not have in 15. You could have the traffic in your career mode, but if you went into multiplayer, there was no traffic. So this is it's another welcome addition. It's another like little fine touch or polish on the game to give you that extra bit of realism when you're playing together.
Yeah, and I just kind of switched to the outside. I've been in the cab the whole time, but I switched to the outside, and you can definitely see got a lot of lights are illuminating. You got brake lights illuminate now. You got turn signals. They're not actually part of the thing. If you are wondering, they are R1 and left and right on the D-pad, and that will give you some nice little turn signals, which we'll use one here on this next field. You can kind of see it illuminate off the truck. It illuminates the ground. A lot of little. I think those things for me, I don't know about you, Bandit, but those things kind of help complete the sim. It helps complete the picture. Sometimes I think, that stuff just kind of gets glossed over in these kind of lifestyle games. People get all wound up on, what the operations are and how hard they have to work. And I sometimes look at simple stuff as the graphics and think, you know what, that seems polished. I like it.
Yeah, speaking of polish and fun random items, we need to pass by some people because they decided to do a mod today because it is Halloween. That turned all of the regular NPCs into zombies. They are walking around in 100% zombie mode, and it's pretty cool. It was completely unexpected on my part. I was actually on chat with Cycle when I realized it, and I was like, dude, I'm sending you a screenshot because my NPCs are bugged out. They look like zombies. And he goes, no, man, it's Halloween. It's part of the patch.
Yeah, we did get our first patch today, which is good to see. It's good to see that that stuff can roll out on PC anytime. They can pull all that stuff down, and so it's nice to see them putting a little bit of thought into ours just to keep things going. And I know they're putting in some fixes and putting in some small things here and there, and I know they're working on a few bigger things, which we can cover in later videos. Just kind of the what's going on of the farm sim, but gosh, there's just so many things to cover that'll definitely be in some later videos. Be excited to unpack this thing.
Right, and I was going to say, speaking of unpacking, this is the new cattle area. From 2015, my thing was cattle farming on Bjornholm. And there were a lot of things that kind of made it unrealistic from a sim point, but I still really enjoyed dealing with the cattle. They kept me busy. It gave me some specific objectives on what I had to do. But the thing that I like about 2017 the most and this cattle area is if you look at the size of this freaking facility, this huge. Really gives you the idea that you can scale. Like in Bjornholm, me and Cycle talked about this a lot of times. It was that super tiny pasture. They would generally put out about 6 cattle, no matter how many you owned, and you were in that super tiny barn. And it just, it didn't feel realistic if you actually purchased a lot of cattle. But here, just looking at the size and scope of this facility, this just feels like I could own 200 cattle and it would feel legit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a huge area, huge feeding trough. Like you say, it's especially when you actually get this, because you'll have your bedding will all be out here. You've got some nice brand new, the back scratchers and the head rubbers and the milking machine over there, which is branded with I know that brand they've branded windrowers and tedders, and there's a full kind of grass care gambit that company is kind of branded with Giant. So it's cool to see their stuff inside the cow pens. A huge feeding area. Now, one thing is definitely not it's not dark enough, but all these little white bars are all dynamic lighting in here too. So another thing that I missed the most out of Bjornholm was the feeling that it was empty when you drove around in it. Now, whether you was career mode or multiplayer, it really didn't matter. It just felt empty. So I will say the biggest thing with everywhere you see all these lights on the outside, it's all dynamic. So you walk under it, you drive under it, it illuminates you, it illuminates the tractors, and you say, oh, well, that's stupid, that's a small thing, I want to see something else. It still amazes me when I see that stuff, that I can walk in front of, see his beams, and he can see me illuminated and lit up. Like, you think, well, that's not a big deal, that's in all games, but it's never been in Farm Sim. So that's really cool, and this silage is huge. This is for the cows down here. This just gives you a scope of just size. I mean, I've just dumped some dried grass in here, just kind of getting potentially ready for cows in the future. We'll see, how long it takes me to get there. Like I said, we're going to do this from the progression state, so we'll be able to. He's out there actually rolling over and packing it. Packing it right now.
Doing you a solid while we're multitasking, man. I'm just helping you out.
That's right. Yeah, I'll have to get the tractor to get you out if you get stuck up there. It's we definitely have our fun with this game, and I just one of the things I think got this game at like 11 o'clock. The one thing that I think I looked at, now you can chime in on this, Bandit. I was looking at all the fields, and I'm pulling up the map now so everybody's watching can see this. Where we are in the cows, there's these huge fields. Now, granted, all these fields don't have to be owned to take care of cattle, but if you did own one of these and you decided to maybe split it up into 4 sections, and you run you run some grass cutting on one end, and you run your hay, and you've got your dried grass, making making your hay bales, making your straw bales, then being able to cut that same grass and be able to put it in here, you can really kind of almost handle this whole entire operation down here. As many cattle as you can actually stand. So I think there's especially with these shelters that's behind me, you can place more shelters. So whether or not you change the outlook of this land over here to actually have some other shelters and sheds, because I mean, we're going to cover this in later videos, but we've got mods now that are actually in the game that we can buy and use, that are really going to extend this game and actually make some of these areas, it's going to make them available for us to really make them personal to ourselves. So that's something that we've really never had. You can go to different areas and make things at least feel a little more homey, but your equipment still winds up sitting out in the rain. It still sits out all over the fields because there's just nowhere to call home besides the home farm. And this is going to, especially with the mods, like Bandit was saying earlier, with some of the sheds that we're already seeing, it's really going to extend the gameplay. I know looking out over this pasture just gives you a sense of the scope of what this is actually going to feel like. So I'm really excited about the cows. Once there's enough money for the purchase for equipment, this will definitely be going in.
Right. And one thing that you touched on with the mods is I'm really impressed with the very last mods that have come out, because like we said, it's been a week. We've let this game ride for a little bit before we did our first videos. We wanted to kind of see what was going to come out and cover some of the things that maybe everybody else isn't going to cover, because they're going to do the intro videos right away, and they're not going to get the same effect that we have. So we let a little time ride, and they've got these shed mods, and these things are awesome. Like, they have actually done some scripting and really given it a PC customization feel. Like I said originally, I'm a PC guy, so I'm used to being able to do some really custom stuff in a lot of the games that I play, especially Sims. So I'm really excited to see that they are doing some PC-style mods for PlayStation 4 right now. I hope they continue it. I hope everybody watching will go and try these mods out. We'll show you how to do it in other videos. But please adopt these mods. Download them, put them on your farm. That way we can encourage them to give the same level of support to PC or to PlayStation that they give to PC.
That's right. That's the only way that they see it. I mean, since they're controlling the mod hub through Sony and through their actual game, being able to access it through there, I mean, that's kind of unprecedented from console perspective, because you got to know that Sony and Microsoft equally are very protective, because you got to think, if you just allow people to write their own code for mods and things that kind of change the way the game originally is intent to behave for itself, you start changing that, then everyone starts flooding tickets over to Sony, and then Sony says, hey, whoa, we got to back up here. You know, something you guys are doing is screwing everybody over. So Giants is trying to do their due diligence of actually getting good, solid stuff out here. Giants is the one that actually can make the scripts work. I'm sick and tired of being on the forums and seeing PC guys saying, you know, you guys just stink. You're the kind of the cheap guys that play farm sim on a budget. If there's enough, like exactly like Bandit said, if there is enough people that are downloading, that are placing the mods on the farms, that are actually using the mods on the farm, they're going to take note of that. If it's a big enough market to jump into and it's going to create a market that expands, it's all about money. So if that market expands because of the mods and because they write scripted mods and people put this stuff in with all these animated doors and animated dynamic lighting and all these things, that is nothing but good for them, and it's good for us, and that keeps the relationship healthy. So yes, exactly what Bandit said. Go download them, put them on your farm, figure out how to use them. We are going to be covering some videos later on that really, because there is kind of a rhyme and reason to how you work with the mods, especially the shed buildings. So we'll be touching that later. So
all right, you want to cruise back up Farmway?
Yeah, we sure
Looks like
can.
it's getting dark.
Yep, we'll have to get it back and finish up the last bit of day's work before we call it a night.
Right.
Kind of as we're driving, I just wanted to point out just really a couple of things. Here, go ahead and lead the way without smacking me in the back. Go
Hey
ahead,
man,
say
it's leased. It's fine. It's leased
right.
truck. It's all right.
Yeah, and I'm gonna switch to the outside view here. It's just really, as we're kind of driving through here, I just wanted to showcase these fields going through here. It's just really nice scenery. I think they really did a good job on this map. I think anybody that played 15 would realize pretty soon after you step into this map that it feels much bigger, and it still takes up the same amount of space. It's still the same amount of actual square footage as, you know, as what would have Bjornholm had, or even Westbridge. But the way that they've done the textures and the way they've extended the map with the mountains and all that stuff, it just really it brings a new element to this that we just didn't have with the others. The waters look good. I mean, all the ponds and all that stuff just really is a nice water reflections. For console, this game actually performs really well. I know we've had some lag issues with multiplayer and some other things that are just kind of like bugs that we've kind of always dealt with. I hope that they continue to get those kinks worked out.
Right, and I'm sure they will. It's for what is being brought out with 2017 versus 2015. I mean, we've already gone leaps and bounds beyond what was available. One of the major notable features is in 2015, if you had some grass or silage or wheat or whatever you had in your trailers, you had to go to a specific point to offload. Like there was no flexibility. Like you wanted to offload that's fine. You're going to a specific offload point. One of my favorite things in 2017 is, as you can see, we're pulling in here to the farm where we've got several of these storage facilities given to us by default. You don't even have to use these storage facilities. I can literally dump a whole load of grass right here next to this shed and just leave it for use later. Like you literally have absolute control over your harvest and your environment.
Yeah, you can even see we've kind of got a decent start here. We're still at the original. As we passed up, I've taken over field 24. I've turned that into a grass field. We'll actually go through acquiring more fields, and actually putting some of these placeables and how to work the ground and how to make it look like it belongs there. And that it's, but you can actually see one of our new mods is over here, one of these new barns that we'll be covering here at a later date. But I guess from us at Full Tilt Farming, we can hope that this was at least a just a quick overview of just what we thought of a map, what we think are some really good things that's going on with Farm Sim. I think all these videos will have a semblance of some commentary, just in just our general thoughts of just how things are going. I'll let Bandit chime in there on just what his thoughts are after I get done. But before we go, guys, just make sure you give us a like, give us a share, leave us a comment if you want to subscribe. From the console perspective, there's really not a lot of people out here doing. There's tons of gameplay. There's just not a lot of really good content that's being delivered from console. It's a little bit difficult sometimes to do it from console. But if you are on PS4, give the community a look. It is Full Tilt Farming. It's exactly the same as it is here on the YouTube channel. But I guess in closing, for me, and I'll let you go after me, Bandit, and close this down, the things that I'm really most excited about are still some options that we had in 15, like the animals. But I think the overall feel of being able, the mods, I think, are probably the thing that I'm most looking forward to. I think the money is something that's nice. It's really challenging. Both of us are playing this game on normal. It's very challenging even on normal. It's not like it was in 15. That's something I do like. But I do also like the added operations that we have now. I just think from the way that I look at things, especially with them still using the same engine, I don't know. To me, it just feels more lively. It feels more complete. And so I'm hoping that this channel can help provide, even if Giants winds up catching on to this and says, hey, these guys are actually doing some console stuff, let's check it out. We hope that this can be a good kind of feeder to get some console stuff out there from things that we think, things that we're hearing from our other buddies that play. And that's just a few thoughts from me. What about you, Bandit?
Yeah, kind of a lot of what you just said I would echo, but basically for me, big high level recap. I really love the feel of this game. It's way more like you feel more involved, you feel more included in the environment. The textures are awesome. It's much improved. The mods, as you've already said, like I am really looking forward to covering all the mods because they're already there's what 32 mods already, and this is like a week old.
Yep.
So I hope and keep my fingers crossed that they will continue to produce mods at the same or a similar level to what they've done thus far, because we've seen some drastic improvements. That shed over there, that's awesome. Yeah. That just came out today, and I cannot wait to cover that. Cycle and I did quite a bit of work to make that look really nice. It's a great location for it. We'll cover that in another video. But just in general, I would say I'm freaking excited, and I will cover all that excitement in other videos with Cycle. So that's all for me today.
All right, well, guys, from us at Full Tilt Farming, always give us a like, a subscribe, share, let other console guys know that we're out there. We are brand spanking new, so we're just trying to get the wheels going on this train. Not the train in the farm. Just kidding. But always give us a like, subscribe, share. We'll be trying to do these videos as often as we possibly can. We're both full-time guys. We've got another guy that will be joining us through some videos probably. But we're all got other lives going on. So this is purely for fun that we're doing this. Nobody's paying us to do this. So we really hope that we can just provide a good, solid base for just good content. We're going to be doing some reviews on new DLC. We're all premium members here, so we're all going to have access to all that stuff, doing the mods, and even live streaming if that's what people want to see from the console perspective. Want to see some live streams? We've got access to do all three of those things. So we hope that you'll tune in. But until next time, that's it from us at Full Tilt.